Number 9. Hugh Glass. Hugh Glass was the 19th century American frontiersman famous for exploring the watershed of the upper Missouri River. What gained him the status of a national hero was an endeavor he made as a fur trapper in 1823, when he famously survived a brutal bear attack while scouting for food along the Grand River in 1823. Hugh Glass ran into an enraged grizzly bear mother who attacked him to defend her 2 cubs. Unable to reach his rifle, they wrestled on the ground. Glass was able to escape from her death grip and stab her in the back with his knife while she shredded his face, chest, arm, and back with her claws. His wounds were so gruesome that his fellow trappers simply placed a bear hide over him as a funeral shroud and left him for dead so they could get out of the hostile territory and away from the Native Americans who recently killed half of their crew. With pretty much anyone else, the whole horrendous story would have ended there, but not Hugh Glass. When Glass eventually regained consciousness, he set his own leg, wrapped himself in his bear hides, and started crawling along the banks of the Cheyenne River. During the insane trek across country that followed, he prevented gangrene from infecting his back by lying on a rotting log and allowing maggots to eat his dead flesh. He sustained himself by killing and eating rattlesnakes and crawled over land for 6 weeks until he reached civilization, which was baffled and impressed to see him alive. In fact, it inspired the recent Leonardo DiCaprio film The Revenant. Hollywood took liberties with the story, but as near as oral tradition can be trusted, what follows is the real story of Hugh Glass, the true story of The Revenant. Number 8. Julian Kopchek. On December 24th, 1971, a Peruvian commercial airliner crashed in a thunderstorm over the Amazon, killing every one of the 92 crew members and passengers aboard except for one person. High school senior Julian Kopchek fell a total of 2 miles from the sky into the Amazon rainforest strapped to her seat and walked away from the accident. She survived the fall with only injuries of a concussion and broken collarbone. For 10 days, through the jungle, with a concussion, a broken collarbone, and a hole in her right arm. Then she met up with some local lumbermen and took a canoe home. Number 7. Ching Shi. Arguably the most badass pirate to ever sail the seas, she started as a prostitute who married a pirate, but he died in a tsunami and she took over from there. She ravaged China with an iron fist, losing very few battles. She was so successful that China sent out an armada to stop her. Instead of hiding, she faced them head on and kicked their ass, capturing 63 of their boats. Once captured, the Navy men could either join or die. She continued to fight for 2 more years and even took out British and Dutch Navy ships. By the end of it, China offered her amnesty, which she and her 17,000 crew members accepted, dragged their more than 200 ships to the coast, and were allowed to keep all of their plunder. She died at the age of 69 running a brothel and casino. Number 6. Audie Murphy. If you want proof that being a short guy isn't going to stop somebody from being a powerful soldier, look no further than the most decorated soldier in World War II, Audie Murphy, who got every medal the army could give him and a few from foreign countries as well. Murphy, 5'5" and skinny to boot, first went into battle in 1943 where he gunned down 2 Italian officers. He then proceeded to pretty much tear the Axis powers' new and spacious orifices wherever he went, consistently getting promoted after creatively handing some Germans or Italians what was left of their heads. But his greatest moment probably came at Holzwihr. Murphy's unit was down to 19 men out of 128. They couldn't fight, they needed to rearm, and they needed somebody to hold the line. So Murphy stayed behind, shooting Germans until he ran out of ammo. Then, deciding he wasn't done killing Germans, he jumped onto a burning tank and started using its 50 caliber machine gun. He even killed an entire squad of Germans trying to sneak up on him. Oh, and he did this for almost an hour while wounded in the leg. And then his men showed up and Murphy led them on a forward action. After spending an hour in the freezing cold on a burning tank spraying Germans with machine gun fire, he decided that wasn't enough and decided to get close and personal. That was enough to land him the Medal of Honor and a movie career. Number 5. Shavarsh Karaev. Shavarsh Karaev is a 17-time world champion Soviet-Armenian fin swimmer, which is a crazy underwater sport that involves snorkeling, wearing tail fins, and swimming like an insane mermaid. But that's not what he's famous for. One day while he was finishing up a light 12-mile run, Shavarsh heard a crash and saw a trolley bus with 92 passengers sink 80 feet to the bottom of a reservoir. In zero visibility due to the silt, Karaev swam to the sinking bus, broke the back window with his legs, and single-handedly rescued 20 passengers. The multiple wounds he received from this rescue and the fact that he was unconscious for 45 days afterwards effectively ended his sports career. But he'd already found a new calling as a superhero. 10 years later, he ran into a burning hospital and saved the people trapped inside. Number 4. Dr. Leona Drogas. In 1961, Drogas develops peritonitis, meaning that he would have to get his appendix taken out or die. The problem? He was the only doctor stationed at the Novoselazhskaya station in Antarctica at the time. The nearest help was 1,000 miles away and a massive blizzard was forming, which meant that he would have to perform the appendectomy on himself. With 2 non-medically trained researchers standing by to pass him tools, Drogas used a mirror, some Novocaine, and a scalpel to remove his appendix over the course of an excruciating 2-hour operation. In 1961, he was awarded the Order of the Red Banner of Labor, which is some cool Soviet award for being a total badass. Number 3. Simo Hiya. Simo Hiya was the finest farmer and hunter living in the present-day border between Finland and Russia who joined the militia at the early age of 20. This seemingly average young man turned into a legendary sniper nicknamed White Death. Simo Hiya was a remarkable shooter who broke all known records. During a 100-day period, he managed to kill 500 soldiers of the Red Army, reaching a remarkable number of 5 successful hits per day. Hiya operated during the very few daylight hours of sunlight in white camouflage in temperatures between -40 and -20 degrees Celsius. The Soviets had put his murder as a priority and attempted to kill him with counter snipers and artillery strikes, but failed repeatedly. In March 1940, Hiya was finally hit and the explosive bullet hit him in the lower left jaw and took off his face skin. Still, Simo Hiya didn't die. Remarkably, he pulled through and lived to see the end of the fighting. Number 2. Rasputin. Rasputin was a womanizer, self-acclaimed healer and holy man, extreme hiker, and a master manipulator. But that's not why he made this list. It's really because of how he died, or rather how much effort it took to kill him. Rasputin had gained a little too much influence over the Tsar's family for some Russian aristocrats. In 1914, he was stabbed by a prostitute so badly that vital organs were hanging out. But he recovered. The night of his murder, he was invited to the prince's palace where he was allegedly drugged with enough cyanide hidden in cakes and wine to kill several men instantly. The group was completely blown away when hours had passed by and nothing had happened. We were seized with an insane dread that this man was inviolable, that he was superhuman, that he couldn't be killed, Yusupov wrote. They decided to shoot him in the back and he slumped on the door. The men left the palace and a few minutes later one went back to get his coat. Rasputin leapt up and started to strangle him. He was shot 3 more times in the back, bound by the feet and hands, rolled up in a carpet and tossed into a partially frozen river. Autopsy revealed that Rasputin's lungs were full of water, meaning the poison didn't kill him, nor the gunshot wounds. He had actually drowned and had still been breathing when he was thrown in the river. Number 1. Roy Benavidez. Roy Benavidez is a former member of the United States Army Special Forces who was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions in Vietnam. He's best known for surviving the impossible when he went to save his comrades who were outnumbered. The helicopter couldn't land because of intense small arms fire, so he jumped from a hovering helicopter at around 30 to 50 feet in the air. Then he had to run 75 meters to his comrades where he was shot in the leg, face, and head on the way. Once he got there, he started rescuing his squad mates, and while he was doing so, got shot in the gut and took a grenade to the back. After all of this, he was miraculously still going and finding people. Then Roy found out the helicopter he previously jumped from had crashed, so he went and rescued the pilot from the wreckage and proceeded to call in airstrikes and call for another rescue attempt. He was then shot in the thigh a couple more times, and on his trip back to the rescue chopper, he was beaten and stabbed by an enemy, who he then killed in hand-to-hand combat. Once he finally made it back to the chopper, he then allowed his comrades to pull him in. When they arrived back at the base, he was pronounced dead and put in a body bag. But as they were zipping the body bag up, he had only the strength to spit to let them know he was still alive. He survived these wounds and received the Medal of Honor. Thanks for watching. Here's some videos you might like, and don't forget to subscribe. In case you didn't know, this is actually not my channel. I'm actually a gamer. So if you like video games and you like my narration, check my channel out at QuibleTV. Give it a click.